WWE Smackdown vs. Raw 2008 is the first game in a long-running series to grace Nintendo's Wii console. And just like any other franchise or budget gimmick title gracing the Wii, Smackdown vs. Raw 2008 opted to implement the unique motion control capabilities of the Wii Remote and Nunchuck. Hence, to perform strikes, grapples, and a multitude of other maneuvers, you have to waggle your remote in conjunction with pressing the A or B buttons. Some moves require that you perform multiple waggles to go through the motions, especially when it comes to finishers and certain signature maneuvers. Taunting is also done differently, as you have to mimic the actual superstar taunts in order to regain some of your health back. Yeah, as you could probably surmise, the first effort didn't work out all that well. Waggle controls are kind of unstable. For the most part they work, but sometimes the game won't register any motions you pull off. This is especially apparent when performing motions during finishers, which you have to do if you want the finisher to execute fully, or else the game will not just kind of pause there and possibly cancel the move. It takes a couple of waggles before the move executes or continues, or move on to the next segment of the move. Also, when locking in submissions, you have to spin the little nunchuck stick to hold the move. Waggle would have been nice in this, since it feels awkward spinning the stick around holding the chuck in that position. As for taunting, it's a nice little gimmick to add in there to mimic the superstar's taunt, but if you don't know the taunt, it won't help matters, and again, waggle controls aren't always responsive. Aside from that, the matches themselves are greatly simplified. Instead of building up a meter to perform a signature or even a finishing maneuver, you now have health meters that you can dwindle down with, doing damage or restoring with taunts, and can perform a signature maneuver when your opponent's meter is in the yellow, and finish him off when it's in the red. The end result is single matches being very quick to end. Most matches can literally take a couple of minutes to win or even play through, which in a way is not bad because you don't want to tire your arm out with all that waggling, but on the other hand, it sort of cheapens the experience. Smackdown vs. Raw 2008 is also significantly bare bones compared to other consoles. Look, it's a given this thing was going to be scaled back from its PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 counterparts. That much is a given. However, the Wii version is also significantly scaled back from its PlayStation 2 and PSP counterparts, two gaming systems that are slightly lesser powered than the Wii. So anyone dreaming of waggling your remote in Hell in a Cell or Royal Rumble, which I don't know why you would want to, but if you ever dream of doing that sort of thing, go for the 2009 version. Instead, you're given a grand total of 5 match types. Singles match, chairs match, well, they call it a hardcore match, but you only have chairs as weapons in this match type. Tag team bout, triple threat, and a knockout match. Not a single cage match in sight. Suffice it to say that you'll get bored with this very quickly, working waggle or not. So what else is in the game? You have a main event mode, which is sort of like a simplified career mode. Compete in matches, train, go for championships, that sort of thing. And along the way you'll unlock a whole bunch of crap such as superstars and legends and arenas and stuff like that. You also have a couple tournament modes like King of the Ring, Beat the Clock, that sort of thing. And of course you could create your own superstar and moveset, which is standard fare in wrestling games these days. Strangely enough though, you can't preview entrances or music samples during the creation aspect, which is odd since this is something you could have done in prior SVR games. So in terms of graphics, Smackdown vs. Raw 2008 is on par with the PlayStation 2 version of the game. The character models are about as lifelike as you get with the hardware. The various arenas are well rendered and match up with the actual pay-per-view and TV show sets. The entrance sequences are adequately replicated on the hardware with all the bells and whistles to be admired. There are a few clipping occasions, the camera's kind of walking at times, the crowd looks like crap, blah 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 blah. In general the game looks fine, I really can't complain about it. It just gets to a point where all of these games start looking almost alike save for slight skin tweaks, set changes, and swapping of new faces. I guess I'm just used to it by now that, it really seems nothing special. The same could be said for the sound. You still have the majority of entrance music, show music, some licensed music tracks for good measure. The sound effects are there, nothing major done here. It's still high quality sounding stuff, it's nothing groundbreaking. Commentary is nothing special, pretty much recycled from the past couple of SVRs. Well, almost. You have JBL doing commentary with Michael Cole, and it seems like all he did was redub all of Taz's line from the previous couple games, so I don't know. Sound to me is the same old deal, but it's on the Wii, not the PS2, I gotta remember that. Yeah, I got nothing. WWE Smackdown vs. Raw 2008 is an interesting experiment that fell through rather badly. Reviews for this thing at the time were not favorable, and while 2009 tried to improve upon the game, adding more modes and stuff like that, the waggle experiment was dropped in favor of more traditional controls for the 2010 iteration, which they have long since stuck with and, in my opinion at least, work a hell of a lot better than the waggle experience. As far as this game goes, it's an interesting party game if nothing else, especially when you get a couple folks together, you start mimicking crotch chops all over the place to regain health. I mean, it's got that going for it at least. But on the other hand, that's about all it has going for it. At the end of the day, it has an interesting concept in the waggle controls, but it just wasn't handled all that well, and even if you get the controls to work in your favor, there just isn't enough meat to keep you around for too long. Honestly, if you have a Wii, and you just have to try a wrestling game with plenty of waggle, I still wouldn't bother with this one. Just go with the 2009 version. Haven't played that one, so I don't know what it's like control-wise, but I know it has more features than this game, so it's a much better package by default.